Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are joining us today. I'm so excited to bring to you another edition of our digital series. And today we'll be discussing a very important topic. So stay tuned and be with us throughout the session. It's going to be exciting. As you all know, this program is brought to you by the U.S. Embassy in Ghana in collaboration with American Corner Agbogbo. And today we are going to discuss a very important topic, a topic that is dear to my heart, and I'm sure it's also dear to your heart as well. And this topic is how you and I can jointly detect biases in the media. And we have a very, very able expert in our midst, Austin Kwabena Bracco Powers, and he is really going to take us through how you and I on our own can give us some tips, how we can detect biases in the media. And you know that this year, many countries are going to have elections. And so a lot of people are concerned about what they read, what they are going to react to, and what they share. And so this series is really going to be an important series, educational series, for the two of us, for you and I and everybody, that you can share this. So I want to start by saying that, like, share the link, invite people to join, because this is an important topic that will change your life, and that would also educate you to know how you can consume media information wisely. And as we know, like, global statistics by Edelman found that 60% of respondents believe that the media is more concerned with attracting a large audience than reporting news accurately. According to Reuters Institute for Study of Journalism, 44% of respondents from various countries believe that the news media is not doing well at being objective. Research by European Broadcasting Union revealed that 53% of Europeans feel that the media in their country lacks diversity of viewpoints and opinion. I mean, I can go on the statistics here and there, and these statistics show that largely, and it's not only in Ghana, as we can see, global statistics reveal that the media is they are more concerned with attracting large audience than reporting news accurately. And that is one of the reasons why you and I have brought an expert, Kwabena Bracco Powers, to really give us some information how we can detect some biases and also consume news accurately. And Kwabena Bracco Powers is a meticulous, articulate, and a focused professional who has a proven record of gathering and analyzing information and using the result of that analysis to find innovative solutions to legal problems and make effective decisions. Kwabena possesses over 10 years of post-qualification experience in journalism and development communication. He is self-driven and directed global communications with massive accomplishments, leading public and media relations, multi-channel campaign management, product adoption, and cross-functional teams to ensure success and achieve goals. Kwabena has superb communication and research skills, which are vital in the delivery of quality legal advice and services to meet client needs. And based on reading this bio of Kwabena, I'm very sure that you are going to educate us so that how I and my audience can really detect biases in the media. Over to you, Kwabena. Take us through what you have for today.
Hi, Stella, and everyone, Florence, and the audience out there. I hope I'm loud and clear.
You are loud and clear, we can hear you.
Okay, so good morning to everyone. This discussion promises to be interactive, and I'm sure in the end, all of us are going to be the victors. And we are hoping that we all walk away with a lot from the presentation. And I don't know if you can see my screen. Without much ado, then we can proceed with the presentation.
Yes, I can see your screen. You just have to put it in presentation mode.
Hello, Florence, can you see the screen?
Yes, I can see the screen. Please put it in the presentation mode and we are good to go. And whilst Kwabena is setting up, please post your questions. Today will be a very interactive session. Post your questions in the comments box and we'll pick your questions and answer all your questions. Remember, you have to invite and share this link with people so that they can join and we can learn together. Over to you, Kwabena.
Okay, so can you see it?
Yes, I can see
it. So can we proceed with this one? Is it better?
Yes. It's not, but let's proceed.
Okay, so I think it's that basically like what Florence said, it's going to be a discussion. It won't be a presentation. So as to say that we are hearing from somebody from the top. No, it's going to be an interactive session, and we are going to look at a major topic which should be of interest to anyone watching us now or participating in the conversation, particularly as Ghana prepares to head into a major poll in December. So we are looking at detecting media bias in Ghana and beyond. And it is a cross-cutting topic which should be of interest to everybody. Now, under the discussion, we will look at key things, some technologies, look at factors influencing media bias. We also look at some common types of media bias, how to recognize media bias, and how you can protect yourself and family against media bias. Now, if you see the screen, what do you see in the present picture? There's an image of two reporters reporting about the same facts, but with different view. If you see that, you can just send us a message, and we will proceed from that. So so you have one picture of the same facts, but with two different reporters. Now, what does?
Kwabena, your slide is not moving. Can you tap them so that they move? We are still on slide 1.
We are still. Is it okay?
Yes, it's okay. Now we can see. Yes. Now slide. Thank you.
Yes. So maybe we can make do with this. So what do you see? So basically, I'm asking what you see on the screen, because I have a picture on the screen with two reporters reporting about the same facts but different views. Two different views about the same facts. And if you have your answer, just send it to us and we will read them. Now let's look at what media means. Now, is it that this definition is to guide us so as not to limit ourselves to the work of journalists? So when you read the 7th edition of the Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary, it defines the word media to mean the main ways that large numbers of people receive information and entertainment. So in other words, we're looking at television, radio, newspapers, and the internet. So by this definition, I want us to broaden the conversation so that we will not limit ourselves to the work of journalists, as I intimated earlier, or media organizations in Ghana. But we will need to include new media. So we need to include social media. So by media, let's recognize that we are talking about TV stations, radio stations, newspapers, online news portals, social events, social media. Now, I included social events because sometimes sometimes we get information at social gatherings, and sometimes some of this information, we tend to act on them based on our orientation. So we need to be mindful that we include events, particularly where people are likely to receive information. Now, bias, when you look at the 7th edition of the Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary, it defines bias as a strong feeling in favor of or against one group of people or one side in an argument, often not based on fair judgment. So when we say someone is biased, naturally, when we say someone is biased, what we mean to say is that the person is not being fair to the facts. So the person has taken a side or chosen one side as against the other. In other words, the person is not putting him or herself across as a neutral person. That is what we mean when we say someone is biased. Now, when we talk about media bias, Idris Kalu, who is the Washington Bureau Chief for The Economist, define media bias as a reporting which appears in the news and not the opinion section. That is uttered and swayed based on the political preferences and agendas of writers. So you see, I would define media bias to mean the sharing of information intended to dictate the opinion of others in favor of a person, a group of people, a place, or a thing, without offering these people the opportunity to arrive at their own informed decisions. So so media bias is a skewed form of reporting, which tends to dictate what the people should consume and not the information the people are supposed to get to make an informed decision. Now, I made this is supposed to be a group work. So I have a list of names of media organizations in Ghana and media personalities and non-media personalities for you to group them under bias, neutral, or somehow neutral. So please try your hands on it. Just scrabble something, just try and put a few together. So we have 3 categories: bias, neutral, somehow neutral. So you are grouping these media organizations and personalities, political and media personalities, under these 3 categories. Now we can still proceed. Now let's pay attention to this session. We will be looking at a common fact, which is one fact, but 4 separate reports. Now, on January 24, 2024, a 3-member panel high court
Kwabena,
convicted us. Yes.
We can hear you loud and clear, but is it possible to project so that we can, the projection is not showing on our end. If we can tap the button down, that would be helpful so that we can really read the thing very well.
Is it, can you see it?
We can see the slide by projection so that it comes big. Yes, at the top, yes. I'm sure when you click or you use the down one, if that function is not working, that's
is it okay now?
No, it doesn't seem like it's okay, but that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. You continue.
Let me try it one more time because.
Okay.
How is
it? It's surprising, but I think it's a technical hitch. We can continue. Please continue from grouping the media biases. And yes, this one, you are here, this slides. Thank you.
Yeah, so this is expected to be, it's anticipated this will be a work that we will try our hands on. So it's all hands on activity. So we have 3 categories: bias, neutral, somehow neutral, for you to group them. So we have Joy FM, TV3, Peace FM, Daily Graphic, Daily Guide, Oman FM, Radio Gold, Adom FM, and the host of them. We have media personalities and some political personalities for you to group under bias, neutral, somehow neutral. Now we're on this, and pardon us. I think I'm just at my end. When I project, you see it boarding, but I think it's not reflecting. But we can proceed with that. So this is a report. This is what happened in the Ghanaian court, or which is a decision made by a Ghanaian court. So on 24th January 2024, a 3-member panel high court convicted and sentenced 6 people, including soldiers, to death by hanging, and acquitted 3 others after a 3-year trial on charges of high treason. Now we know high treason is an offense in Ghana according to the Constitution, the 1992 Constitution. So, but here are the report of 3 media organizations, or let me say 4 media organizations in Ghana. Joy FM reported. Now, the above facts, we are going to see how 4 separate media organizations reported about the same facts. Now, Joy FM reported on the same day, January 24, 2024, that 6 individuals accused in connection with an alleged coup plot have been found guilty of conspiring to commit high treason and committing high treason. That is a report filed by Joy FM. When you read their report on myjoyonline.com on the same day, you see, and this is what Daily Guide reported on. It said it was an atmosphere of mixed feelings within the 4 walls of a high court in Accra yesterday, when 6 persons were sentenced to death by hanging over a failed plot to overthrow the new patriotic party government through a violent coup. Now compare these two reports and just ask yourself, what is missing? What is not missing? What do we have in this report that are not related? Now let's go to Daily Graphic. And we know Daily Graphic is a state newspaper. Now let's be clear, Joy FM is a private media organization. Daily Guide is a private media organization. Daily Graphic is a state newspaper. Daily Graphic reported 6 persons, including 3 soldiers, have been sentenced to death by hanging for high treason. Simple. Very simplistic. Now, City FM is also a private media organization. It says the High Court has convicted 6 of the alleged coup plotters for count of conspiracy to commit treason and committing high treason. Now, these are 4 reports, separate reports, coming from the same facts. Now, ask yourself, who is not being truthful to the fact and who is introducing another element to the conversation that the audience should not be, or the reader should not have been saddled with. Now, this is what you need to know. All the facts are based on the same set of underlying facts. That is, the reports, the 4 reports are based on the same set of underlying facts. However, due to selective omission, choice of words, and varying credibility ascribed to the primary source, each media organization conveys a radically different impression of what actually happened in court. Now, this is what should be of interest to you. The choice to slant information in this way is what we sometimes describe as media bias. Now, the former majority leader of Ghana's parliament, Osechi Mensah Bonsu, he lamented bitterly that when he read newspapers produced by or reports filed by media organizations that are politically tainted, he tends to know where they are coming from. He can conclude immediately that they won't be truthful to the facts. Now, let's look at some factors that influence bias in the media. Now, I've outlined 4 factors. 1, ownership of the media outlet. You must know that the ownership of the media outlet tends to impact on the work, the quality of the work of the media organization. We also have source of income of the media outlet. Now, they say when you give heavy, you receive heavy. Although the one who is able to influence is able to exert much influence. So the source of income of the media outlet also counts. Now, specific political or ideological stance. Now, you must know some of the media organizations in Ghana have declared their political stance. So when you are listening to them, you should know immediately that they will be biased. Also, the outlet's audience, in other words, the target of the media organization should let you know whether that particular media organization is politically biased or neutral. Now, this is what you should know. People who follow news on social media are likely to follow news or read from people whose side of story conforms with their established views and beliefs. So you tend to follow people whose views or posts on social media tends to amplify what your own bias. So if you are biased to any political party, you tend to follow people who are affiliated to that political party, so that their posts will amplify you, they will glorify you, they will raise your morale, your emotions high, and you feel happy, and you be opposed to the opposition. Now, these are common types of media bias identified by News Literacy Project, an organization in America. So partisan bias. So here, partisan bias, news coverage are unfairly tilted towards one political party. Demographic bias. So when the demographic of the news organization and the journalists affect how they present or write an article. Then we have corporate bias. So where the parent company or owner affect the presentation of news stories. So we have neutrality. It's also called false balance or both sides. Here, when something is demonstrably known, like climate change, but the news article attempts a neutral stance. So in this case, when you know something is wrong, instead of condemning it, or right, instead of being truthful to the fact, you tend to throw out the fact so that it's like you become indifferent to the fact. In other words, you are being false balance. You have taken a position we call false balance, which is neutrality. False neutrality. Then we have the big stories, then they leave the other stories. Then we have the visual bias. So here you draw the reader's attention by making presentations or images that present or is suspected to evoke some emotions in them. Now, this is very simple. Now, how do you detect media bias? Now, in the slide that we just skipped, we noted that there are so many types of categories of bias, and these are detected by one, ownership, the owner of the media organization, the political affiliation of the media organization, where the media organization is receiving its fans and the audience. Now, how do you recognize or detect bias? First of all, the headline of the story. If you remember the story we looked at, the 4 separate independent reports from the same common facts, which was based on the decision of the High Court. One of the media organizations introduced a political element into the story, and that should let you know where they are coming from. Some decided to also jump the gun, and others decided to be truthful to the fact. But if you want to detect media bias, first look at the headline. Second, you see, you can detect bias through selection and omission. So if somebody will decide not to report about certain, or they will ignore certain facts from the story, and facts that are important in helping you, the reader, to make a decision or make an informed decision. So selective. So they will carefully select certain facts and eliminate certain facts deliberately so as to influence your decision. Now, you can also see bias through story placement. Now, when you pick a typical newspaper, you can determine whether the newspaper is biased or not based on the placement of the story. There are some stories, some political stories, or stories that are about certain figures or political organizations or companies in Ghana that are put elsewhere. They are neglected. And we have front page stories, and in media, within the media circles, the front page, you can detect whether the media organization is being biased or not. Now, also bias through photo placements, captions, newspapers, or media news reports. You just also study the page. Tells a lot about a particular individual just because they are not in support of that particular person. So you can just read between the lines. Also, bias through use of names and titles. So His Excellency, sometimes they will say Mr. Sometimes they'll use normal name, but so you read a news report, when they are referring to your opponent, they refer to the opponent as His Excellency or Honorable. But when they are referring to another political party functionary, they refer to him as Mr. or a member of this party, or a worker, an employee of this company. But the opponent, they refer to him as the chief executive officer, the HR. So you can also detect these things, and also bias from the angle of the writer, and bias by the nature of the platform. So you see, these are ways you can detect. So look at the headline, read the facts, and usually I advise that don't read a report from only one media organization, because you are not likely to get all the facts. Read, cross-check from other organization platforms so that you can solidify your stance. And you see, as we are heading into the 2024 election, a lot of reports will be filed, and a lot of them will be engineered to sway the minds of, or to persuade Ghanaians, particularly those who are not politically affiliated, the neutral ones. So you have to be careful. You see, you need to protect your sanity, and by doing that, you need to read stories that are neutral, that are based on the facts, and they are not slanted in any way so as to achieve any mischievous purposes. Now, how to protect yourself against media bias? one, carefully choose where you read your stories from and the attention you pay to them. Carefully choose your news. So there are a lot of media organizations in Ghana. That's why the group work is instructive and very important. So that you know media organizations that are neutral in Ghana, that you can rely on their reports, and those that are not neutral, then you will not worry yourself to go and read report from them, because any report that comes from them will be slanted or skewed to favor one political party. Always look for the source of any news item. When they mention a name, look for the source. And I always say, when I conduct training, media training, I always tell colleague journalists that you just have to be faithful to the facts. And by being faithful to the fact, report what the news maker says. What the news maker said, exactly report it, and leave the judgment to the reader to make that. It is the sole prerogative of the reader to make the judgment. Also, read beyond the headline. Sometimes we don't even read beyond the headline. We read the headline and we conclude immediately that this is what happens. You see, often than not, what I've done is that there's a report I'm here to release. You'll be surprised that sometimes the story has nothing to do with the headline. So the headlines sometimes they are skewed to achieve, a purpose. So always read beyond the headline, and also check variety of sources for your stories. You see, and also within articles, find out if the writer has named his or her sources. If the writer has named his or her sources, and you see, when you read a news article where the story has not mentioned any source and says, oh, an undisclosed source, unnamed source, it reject it. At least we can entertain one anonymous source, but an anonymous source throughout the story, it is ridiculous. That means you shouldn't worry yourself to read the story. You should know definitely where the story is coming from. Also, become a critical news consumer. When you read stories, ask yourself, is this true? Because there are so many things. See, we have what you call information disorder, and the information disorder is simply that people are concocting stories to persuade people. There are so many stories that are making the run in this country, and when you go beyond them, you realize that they were made and created by people to dictate to Ghanaians and to some people what they should be saying or thinking. So let's be critical news consumers and also look out for opposing views. You see, where you are scared of divergent views, it means that you are just heading towards the alley. You are just leading yourself to be killed. Always be open to divergent views. Listen to what people are saying, and it is important. And share stories responsibly. I always say, when you see a story on WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, any of the social media handles or any of the news portals, don't be quick in sharing. Make sure that you have done the critical work before you share, because see, if you are not careful, you will mislead others. Because there are so many stories that are misleading. Now, let me give you this example. I listened to the current Agric minister. He made a presentation during the HISTA, and he said that the new Patriotic Party is not going to hand over to the opposition National Democratic Congress Party because they believe the NDC will not win the election. Now, the minute he said that, people started saying that he said they are not going to hand over even if NDC wins. And I found a report about that, and I found that ridiculous. That it was categorical that they believe they are not winning, so there's no need to hand over to someone who is not winning. And people skewed the message, and they went home laughing, and they were sharing it on social media everywhere, and even reacting to that the man said they are not going to hand over to the NDC, which I would have been very disappointed for a government official to make that pronouncement. You see, so let's be critical. If I are not listening to his conversation, now I did content analysis. I listened to him verbatim, word by word. Then I realized he didn't say that. He has rather been quoted out of context. And you see, so you ask yourself, why did they quote him out of context? You should know, obviously, it is to achieve a purpose. You get it? So please share stories responsibly and control your political emotions. I'm telling you, in this country, as we are heading towards election, if you don't take care, you'll be swayed by information which will end up, or which will often end up not to be true. And you end up taking actions or even taking decisions that will affect your very life. So your very life and that of your loved ones. So be careful. Now, there is a constitutional injunction in Article 162.5. All the media organizations are supposed to be fair and objective. But you and I know that's not what is happening, because some media organizations have already declared their political stance. So you see, the Constitution provides that all agencies of the mass media shall, and at all times, be free to uphold the principles, provisions, and objectives of the Constitution, and shall uphold the responsibility and accountability of the government to the people of Ghana. Now, this very constitutional provision, the Supreme Court and the other courts in Ghana have made creative judicial pronouncement on this. And when you read Article 1626 of the 1992 Constitution, it says that any medium for the dissemination of information to the public which publishes a statement about or against any person shall be obliged to publish a rejoinder, if any, from the person in respect of whom the publication was made. Now, this is clear. What it means is that when you err, let the reader know you've erred. You see, sometimes some media organizations, they file reports that are not truthful to the fact. Then when their attention is brought to the fact that their report is not factual, they correct their reports or edit their report, but they fail to publish a rejoinder. In other words, all those who had read the stories will still be under the misapprehension that the fact they had read, or there will be another impression that the fact they read are sacred. Meanwhile, the fact had been altered on the website of the media organization. So let's be careful. We need to be fair in what we do. But for me, what is important to me is the consumer, you the reader, how you are consuming the information. And today, there are so many people who are motivated by, and I always say that people churn out false stories. But you see, let's be mindful. We have false stories making the round in the country. So many of them. And there are a lot of fact-checking organizations. Dubawa is one of them, Dubawa Ghana. We fact-check claims made by even the politicians. And what we have found, one of our findings has been that false information is created sometimes from government officials, or government officials are themselves peddlers of false information. Because when you go to Dubawa, Ghana.dubawa.org, you see a lot of stories. We fact-check claims made by the President of the Republic, the opposition leader, John Dramani Mahama. We fact-check claims made by Alan Kojo Chairman, made by even a number of government officials. And I'm surprised. I mean, it might surprise you to know that misinformation and disinformation are deliberately created by government officials for opposition functionaries and individuals, supporters of the various political parties. So we need to be very mindful. We need to be very mindful. Now, let me give you this story. I remember when, if you also remember clearly, the vice president, who is now the presidential candidate for the governing New Patriotic Party, he addressed Ghanaians in February. Then when he was done, there was this media, there was this flyer that was shared that went wild on social media. That now the Kaya youth headphones, they no longer use headphones, but now they are using Bluetooth to carry. Hello, Florence, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. It's clear now. Thank you.
Yes. So I was just touching on the one important story. So the vice president, who is a presidential candidate for the governing New Patriotic Party, he addressed Ghanaians in February. Then when he was done, a flyer started making the round on social media. It was shared widely. In fact, and underneath the flyer, you could see the logos of multimedia organizations. So you see Joy FM, you see Adum FM, all the logos of the brands and the multimedia organization were featured on the flyer. That is to tell you that it is coming from multimedia organization. And according to the flyer, the vice president said, due to government digitization efforts, Kayaye, who are referred to as the headquarters, no longer use headphones, but they are using Bluetooth to carry the goods of their customers. And this is, when I read it, I was surprised. So what we have to do, and this was being shared a lot at places, I mean, on Facebook, even some people, some popular individuals, some influencers were sharing it. Then we have to take his address and conduct content analysis, and realize he never said that. So you see, and we also contacted Joy FM, and to find out if indeed they produce that media content, and they said they never did that. So that should tell you people did that. They endorse it with the logos of Joy FM just to create an iota of credibility. Because when you see multimedia, the branch and the multimedia and other media organizations, you tend to believe them. So they featured them. We contacted Joy FM. They said, no, they didn't produce that. Then we fact-checked it and realized that it was created by some group of people who are opposed to the vice president. So just, I want you to have it in mind that this is what we are heading towards. I checked the same thing. Another one being done under class, is it XYZ? They are using XYZ logos to also create flyers and other things. So let's be mindful and be careful. If we are not, we will be harming ourselves, because you see, you need your sanity. They always say we are in an information age. I see, we've already been in the information age some years ago. Now, what you need to do is to protect your sanity. And you see, the information ecosystem will be better if we consume quality media content. And by quality media content, don't believe whatever you read on social media until you are verified from organizations in this country are credible. You have to decide that for yourself and your family, and make sure that you consume content from these media organizations. And when you do that, you are protecting your sanity, protecting the sanity of your family, and also that of your loved ones. So maybe what we need is equality in the media to fight against media bias, and not equity. Because see, when we are to place all the media organizations on the same platform, in other words, if we are to believe that all the media organizations will report about the same fact, then we'll be lying to ourselves. So by equality, what I'm trying to put across is that maybe we don't need to believe all the media organizations. We need to rank them so that those who are on who are ranked the least will be listening to or watch, or you will not even worry yourself to read content from them, so that the ones you were able to give award a huge mark to will be the one you'll be listening to or reading from. Because if we are to conclude or convince ourselves that the media organization, based on the constitutional provision, are to report about the fact, we'll be lying to ourselves, because they won't do it. And you know, the national media organization, the National Media Commission cannot dictate the content media organizations should produce. In fact, it is like all the media organizations, which was to categorize under neutrality. You listen to them, read from them, and watch them. That media information, which will help you, because you see, you need to know what is going on around you. So, in view of this, I want to bring the conversation to my presentation to a close, so that if you have questions, I will take them, and then the conversation can proceed. Florence, over to you.
Thank you very much. So you can stop sharing your screen, and then now we can dive deep into the questions. I already have a lot of questions for you, and I hope that you will find time to dive deep into the questions. And my first question is coming from Emmanuel Kwashiklipe, and he is wondering, are there differences in biases between traditional media outlets and newer online sources? If so, what are they? I think that he is trying to refer to if there is an existing media house, like in Ghana, we have graphic newspaper and graphic online, and the newer online media houses, which one is more prone to be biased? I mean, that's a difficult question for you to handle. And whilst you think about that, I have another question from Anthony Frimpong. Can a legal action be taken against a media outlet for being media bias, and whose responsibility is it? Added, and there are more questions that are coming in. And okay, I see that Kwabena, if you are still with us, okay, so you can take the two questions whilst I add other questions.
Oh, sure, Florence. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello. Yes, yes. I think so. The first question, yeah. So the first question has to do with whether there's a difference between traditional media and new media.
So which one is more prone to being biased? Is it a traditional media houses or the newer online news outlets?
Now, I think the new media is becoming more dangerous now.
Okay.
New media is becoming more dangerous because there's a least control of new media, and new media has no like I said, there's a least control. In other words, anybody at all can be online and post something. You remember? Let me give you this scenario.
Mm-hmm.
If you all remember, in 2016, GTV, which is a state broadcasting network, they reported about the death of South African former South African president Thabo Mbeki.
Mm-hmm.
So GTV reported about the death of Thabo Mbeki in 2016 when they failed to, you know where they picked the information? They picked it from online.
Okay.
They picked the information from an online, and that is new media. You get it? And they didn't verify their source, and they went live. Later on, GTV had to apologize for the poor reportage. You see, so that is to tell you how scary the situation is becoming. So I will tell the audience, be scared of new media, social media, online news portals, because you see, they produce content without control, unrestrained content.
Okay.
And let me give you another example. The Minister for Fisheries, Hawa Kunsin, recently she said that those who are complaining about high rent, the hikes in rent, those who are complaining about the hike in rent should go to Canada. You'll be surprised to know that some online news portals attributed the claim to the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Honorable Shelley Ayoko Botchwey, when the claim was rather made by Hawa Kunsin.
Okay.
And we realized that almost about 5-6 online news portals attributed the claim to Hawa Kunsin, the Minister for Fisheries, when they attributed the claim to the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Shelley Ayoko Botchwey, when the claim was made by Hawa Kunsin, Minister for Fisheries. So you see, it's becoming dangerous and scary.
Okay.
Nevertheless, you must also be careful of the traditional media, particularly those who have declared their political stance. And I can list a number of them. There are a number of them who have declared their political stance. So you just have to be careful.
Okay.
You get it? Yes. Then, as to whether you take legal action, I think usually if you have any issue about, if you have you have any complaint about the work of the media organization, you have to report it to the National Media Organization. That is the first line of reporting.
Okay.
You can't jump to the court, because the National Media Organization is a commission created by the Constitution to supervise the work of the media.
Okay.
So if you have, and the National Media Organization has a tribunal, it has a tribunal which determine matters like this. So if you believe one media organization is skewing its report or slanting its report in favor of one political organization or corporate institution against the others, you can file a report and send it to the National Media Organization, and they will give you a hearing. And I think that should be your first line of call. Don't jump the gun. Because you see, we are too used to jumping the gun. Then you go to court, then the court will throw the case away and tell you that there is already an established tribunal under the Constitution. So let's follow the law, go to the National Media Commission, and when they give you a hearing and you're not satisfied, then you can escalate it to the court level. So this is what I can say to the two questions so far.
Don't jump the gun. There are procedures to taking the media organization on. And thank you for that question. There's another question from Anthony Frimpong. Has there ever been a time in your career working in the media house or otherwise where a form of media bias may have occurred? And now this is up to you, Kwabena. How did you navigate yourself through it? Assuming you're putting yourself in a media house and you're working in the media house, have there ever been an occasion where media bias occurred, and how do you navigate?
All right, Florence, so thank you. I think is it when you are learning the rope or you are climbing the rope, you are easily, you usually make false starts, and it's normal. Because I remember in my early years, I filed a report about the then chairman of the governing.
I don't know if it's me, your line is breaking, Kwabena. If you can come back, if you can hear me, whilst Kwabena is going through the answers for us.
That is Freddie Blee. He granted one of my colleagues. Hello, Florence.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Hello, Florence, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, so I was recounting an encounter. So I listened to an interview granted one of my colleagues, Evans Mensah, by Freddie Blee. Then I had to transcribe it and file a report. And in the report, I used the word, he said there will be war if the New Patriotic Party does not, then, that was in 2016, if the New Patriotic Party did not win the 2016 election. But you see, I mistook a word he used for war, and I used the word war. Then you could just imagine what happened. He had to threaten us legal actions and other things. So is it sometimes, and as I stated in the presentation, when you make a mistake, you have to publish a rejoinder. You see, you have to publish a rejoinder to let people know that you have corrected the fact. So after people had consumed, in fact, that story, I can tell you, that story generated a lot of readers. When we checked, almost close to over 75,000 people had read the story. 75,000. At the time, our attention was drawn to the fact that we had mischaracterized him. Then we had to publish a rejoinder, to correct the fact. Now, you see, so it is common. And since then, I've been careful to make sure that any story I do, I just cross-check, get my colleagues to cross-check, and also to listen to it again and find out if indeed what I reported about or what I've transcribed is indeed a fact. So it is normal. But sometimes, like I said, you must be deliberate. Be deliberate about the report. Tell yourself, and you see, that's how you earn your respect. When you do a quality work, quality journalism work, people will write to you and tell you that I love your report. I like the report you filed. And that is how you make a name for yourself within the media circles. Other than that, you will be one of those journalists who is struggling to make ends meet. So this will be the response.
Okay. Thank you very much. Kwabena, you mentioned that during your presentation, you highlighted that social events is also a type of media outlet. Would like you to elaborate on that and how that contributes to bias.
Yes, thank you. Is it political gathering, rallies, churches? You know, recently we fact-checked a claim made by an imam, and he was saying that, an imam in the Gambia, and he said that female genital mutilation has no health implications for girls and women. This is an imam.
Okay.
You see, this is an imam. He's saying that female genital mutilation has no health implication. So just imagine. So this is a religious leader. And when we are looking at his level of influence, you can ask yourself the number of people who believe in what he is saying.
Okay.
So you see, we should not neglect or gloss over the impact of information we consume at social events. Okay. We should not. And let me put this across. There was a time news reports started making the round in the country that the founder of Lighthouse Chapel International, that is Bishop Dag Heward-Mills, said that polygamy is good. I don't know if you heard about this, but some people were saying that he said polygamy is good and there's nothing wrong, and it's not a sin, and there's nothing wrong with polygamy. But when we listen to his sermon where he talked about polygamy, he never made that categorical statement. He was not emphatic that polygamy is good. He was rather drawing a conclusion based on biblical facts. So you see, social events, if we don't take care, we will be consuming things that will order our lives, and it will even worsen it. Which is why I added it to one of the media I added it as a medium through which information is conveyed to the masses. So you see, rallies, political rallies, churches, prayer sessions, things we say, things people who have influence say, they tend to have effect on the listeners. And that is why we need to be mindful. Anywhere we find ourselves, anywhere, church, even gathering, even at lectures, these are things we must be careful. And whatever we consume, let's be mindful.
Okay, last, I think that we are just about wrapping up there. A couple of questions more. And is it possible to really exclude yourself from the biases in the media, like in this modern age of information age, to be more specific? Is it possible that you and I and my audience can really, what critical step can we take to really exclude ourselves from biases? I mean, you mentioned a couple of points. We should look at the headline, but in actual fact, when news items come, especially during COVID, there were a lot of misinformation, information disorder, malinformation, a lot, they were just spreading. And during that time, I mean, there is no, maybe if I look at the heading, I don't have anybody to verify the heading, to go here. I mean, for the ordinary citizens who doesn't even have the tools to verify, to look through selective omission and all the other things, like the story placement, like what are the easiest way we can really detect biases and make sure that we are excluded from all these biases and all the things that is happening in them, especially during election year and other critical moments or events that happen around us? Kwabena, if you're online, yes. You're listening to me. Yes.
Hello, Florence, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Please check your own biases. You see, so check your own biases. You see, we all have our own biases. So we are biased towards the food we eat. We are biased towards the people we talk to. We are biased towards the type of phones we like. We are biased towards the type of mineral bottled water we drink. I mean, we are full of biases in our daily lives.
Naturally,
so you have to check your own
we are geared towards one side or the other.
Exactly. So the first thing is control your own biases. You need to control your own biases, because you see, if you don't control your own biases, someone who may tap onto or may tap into your own bias and control you. Because so you see, when you are too politically affiliated and anything about a political party excites you, someone will send a post about an opposition political party, and it will get you angry, and it will deepen your bias. So you see, check your own bias and control your emotions. And you see, and what I always say is that just ask yourself, if I am biased towards this person, what does it benefit? I mean, what do I stand to gain from it? If I am biased towards a political party, what do I stand to gain from it? Does it bring food on my table? Does it change the livelihood of Ghanaians? Because you see, in the end, think about the common good, not the individual good. So think about the common good, because you see, the common good is a perspective that will help your future and that of your children. Because you see, if today you are not here, your children will benefit from the common good. But if you are prioritizing the individual good, if you are not here today, your children may not get what they may not be able to open the doors that you were able to open, because you considered only the individual good. So think about the common good. So first of all, check your own biases. 2, control your emotions. 3, think about the bigger picture. So think about the common good and not the individual good. Think about the common good and not the individual good, which will help you. Then the final one, be critical. Be critical, because you see that there's nothing that's leading someone astray, and there's nothing exciting. So you see, this false information, they are happy when people share the stories, when people talk about it, when people amplify it, they're happy, because you see, you are doing their work for them. And now, let me end with this. Florence, you see, there are 3 things that motivate people to generate false information. 3 things. 1, power. 2, fame. 3, money. So power, fame, money. These are the 3 factors that motivate people to share false information. So when people share information, it means that they are looking for power, or they are looking for fame, or they are looking for money. Now, these 3 things, it might interest you. They are connected. If you have fame, you have power. They are connected, because if you have money, you have fame and power. If you have fame, you can get money and you have power. If you have power, you can be famous and have money. So you see, they are interrelated. So I want our audience to walk away with these 3 factors. That people who channel false content, they are motivated by power, money, and fame. And that will be my closing remark. Thank you. Florence.
Oh, thank you very much, Kwabena. I have had a very interesting, insightful session, and I believe that my audience you've also had a very educative session. And this brings us to the end. Before we leave, this digital series is part of the American Spaces program. And as I mentioned, American Spaces provide access to current and reliable information about the United States. And we are doing that through programming like this, through books collection, internet access, and events and activity for everyone. And before we take our leave, I want to introduce you to a very wonderful, amazing resource. It's an online resource that you may find very helpful wherever you are, depending on your field and anything you are doing. This is the eLibrary USA. And the eLibrary USA is a state-of-the-art digital library with 9 premium electronic databases that include digital newspapers, magazines, journals, videos, and dissertations. Usually, this resource is available to use at in-person American Spaces, but with the global pandemic, we've opened up access, and please, that you can sign up to be subscribed or to have access to the eLibrary USA in the comment section. And this program was brought to you by, or is brought to you by, the U.S. Embassy Ghana American Corner Agbogba in partnership with Mobile World Ghana. And this concludes our program for today. But please subscribe, follow us on YouTube. Click the subscription button so that when we have program next time, you will be able to get an alert at U.S. Embassy Ghana for more amazing virtual program. And until we meet again, Kwabena, thank you very much. I hope that we will have another in-depth session where you will be able to teach us more tips about how we can detect media biases. That brings us to the end. My name is Florence Topher, and I work with Mobile World Ghana and American Corner Agbogba. Thank you for being with us. Have a nice weekend. Bye.